We know we need to cut emissions. We know we need to reduce pollution. But one of the best ways of doing that is to get more clean cars on the road. As Laurie and David were telling me, their EV works great and is much cheaper to power than their gas car. Too often, though, electric vehicles aren't in reach. So we're making smart, targeted investments to change that. First of all, we're making EVs easier to buy. We're extending the program of up to $5,000 to help people buy electric vehicles. We're bringing in new mandatory sales targets of 20% by 2026, 60% by 2030, on the way to 100% by 2035. We're also going to make EVs easier to charge. We're building a national network of chargers on top of the thousands already installed or under construction.
It's terrible, it's awful. What are you going to do? Stop people driving their favourite car? They can't do that. It should be illegal.
By 2035? Good luck.
So it's kind of the next step, but I think it's very short-sighted.
To be honest with you, our electric grid can't handle that many electric vehicles charging on it, right? So I don't think oil and gas is going away for a while, right?
Angelica Toy for Rebel News. I'm out in downtown Calgary to gather public opinion on a net zero concept proposed by Liberal Minister of Transportation Omar Al-Jabra, where he plans to ban fossil fuel-based vehicles by 2035.
Today, we can say there are several plants that are being announced for building these cars here at home, for building the products associated like batteries and car components here at home. And we are invested in our budget close to $500 million to help municipalities and regions build infrastructure for refueling those vehicles. So we are working at it from different levels. Yes, it feels that we're behind and we all need to work together to get to that goal, but we're all committed to getting there.
I can understand why they're doing it for the environment. However, I think it's a little short-sighted in a lot of ways. Number one, we cannot turn off oil and gas at all. We're going to need it in other ways, for one thing. For another thing, the infrastructure isn't there to support electric vehicles with charging, with the electrical grid. Plus, in Alberta, how is our electricity created? By burning gas. So either way, it's really seriously going to affect us poorly. I think electric cars are interesting. It's a step forward. As with anything else, we move on. Just like phones one time didn't have a screen on it, and now they do, and we can browse the internet on them. So it's kind of the next step, but I think it's very short-sighted.
I think it's terrible. That's all I've got to say. It's terrible, it's awful. What are you going to do? Stop people driving their favourite car? They can't do that. It should be illegal.
That would not be 2035. That's like how many years from now? 30 years. I think it's better to kind of like make the production of the regular gas vehicles, just decrease the production and increase the production of the electric vehicles. If you want to do that, I think banning completely it's going to be a little bit difficult because not everybody can afford an electric vehicle. At least I can afford one right now. So
these rebates seem to be for people who can afford, fairly expensive cars.
Well, I mean, it's true that electric vehicles are more expensive than internal combustion engine, although experts tell us that there won't be much of a price difference in the coming years. Is it 2025 or 2026, maybe even before that?
By 2035? Good luck. I'm not sure if that's going to happen, but I wouldn't be against it.
Well, I probably wouldn't be excited about it because, to be honest with you, our electric grid can't handle that many electric vehicles charging on it, right? So I don't think oil and gas is going away for a while, right?
It's ambitious, and it has to come with massive infrastructure right across the country, like charging stations. So I'm wondering, is Canada ready for that?
I would agree with you. It is an ambitious target. Are we ready? I'd say we are getting ready. If you look at provinces like British Columbia and Quebec, which have put in place incentive programs many years ago, which have put in place mandatory sales vehicle for car manufacturers We're already around 12, 13, 14% of new sales that are electric vehicles or plug-in hybrids. So going from 14 to 20% in these two provinces will not be that difficult.
Would you say you're a fan of electric vehicles?
Oh, I don't even think I have an opinion. No, I just really like a reliable car. So, I mean, I wouldn't, maybe I'd consider it if I bought a new car, but I wouldn't change the car I have just to get an electric one.
Would you think an electrical vehicle would be, like you said, reliable, say during the wintertime?
I'm not sure. I know there's a lot of debate, electrical engineers say yes, but some people are worried about the battery lasting through harsh winters. Maybe not so much here, but I moved here from Canmore, so there I don't think I'd trust it.
California, electric vehicles have been pushed quite greatly in the last little while, and currently they are facing an energy crisis where they can't meet the electrical needs, so they're being told that they can't charge their vehicles. Would you still be willing to give up your freedom to drive in an energy crisis?
Freedom to, I guess that's a hard question. Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
I'm walking today, but it's a very complicated situation, isn't it? Yeah. How are we going to do it? So, yeah.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, our politicians haven't figured out the science behind the issue.
Would you say you're a fan of electric vehicles?
Yeah, we get a lot of work from them, so I'm an electrician, right? So, yeah.
Do you know how the batteries are produced?
I know lithium's not very good for you, and it's not a good thing, and we can't dispose of it. You can't protect yourself against the lithium, right? So how do they protect people that are mining it? And then, 20, 30 years from now, if we can't get rid of these lithium batteries, how are we supposed to dispose of these? Right? You're going to have a massive pile of them. What are you going to do, ship them to China? I don't think so, right? So,
while some people promote this idea as a breakthrough towards green energy, others see it as an attack on the environment and on the fossil fuel industry in Canada, specifically in Alberta. Speaking to people around town, we can come to see that this is also an economic and an ethical issue. How are people supposed to afford electric-based vehicles when not all of us can afford oil-based vehicles currently, and the electric ones are much more expensive? And it also raises questions on how we dispose of these batteries and the production behind them, because these aren't renewable, they aren't recyclable, and it starts to affect our environment and the people that are around such toxic chemicals.
And it sounds great, but it is a huge change. This is a very big country. People use their car a lot to go from one city to the other. That's why I asked you about charging stations, right? A colleague of ours went from, Ontario to the Atlantic provinces and, sort of chronicled his ride. And it was not easy. It took, a day and a half more because there were no charging stations. So you will have to accompany this ambitious 20% by 2026 of sales of electric vehicles with a huge infrastructure across the country, even in remote areas.
Absolutely, and I don't personally own a vehicle. I've never owned one, but my service vehicle as minister is 100% electric vehicle. So I totally understand what some of the challenges are. I'm living it.
If you would like to fight for the oil and gas industries in Canada, visit nogreenreset.com and take action.